Hey, what up guys? Zedakae here with another video for you today. We're going to be covering the latest Pokemon installment for the video game franchise called Pokemon Legends Arceus. Now this game honestly is super good. I've played it for like 2 streams now, like over 14-15 hours, and I've barely scratched the surface, guys. This game is brilliant. Anyway, this is basically just a first impressions video on what I've seen. Basically in the very start of the game, basically, and obviously the starting area and stuff, a few little background clips anyway. Hopefully you guys enjoy the content. As usual, make sure you hit that like, comment, and subscribe button if you haven't already. If you enjoy what you see, guys. And without further ado, let's get straight into the action. Alright guys, let's get straight into it. So this is Pokemon Legends Arceus, and this is literally the start of the game. I've got a lot of intro clips from the game in the very start of it. So that's what you'll be seeing on the screen right about now, and hopefully you guys get a bit of an insight. You might have already started playing this game yourselves, but this is obviously my first impressions video and what I think is the goods and the pros and the cons of this game as such. So obviously the game starts off, you get dropped from this rift or something. You come out of space or time. That's what they've all been trying to work out. Your phone gets literally dropped with you. It looks like an iPhone or something, and honestly, it's a very interesting start to the game. It wasn't something that I was expecting. It's definitely a lot different from the previous Pokemon titles. You know how you start off in a town, you say to your mum, hey, I'm going on a Pokemon adventure, and you go on your way, and that's that, right? So in this case, obviously, you've got the almighty god of Pokemon, Arceus himself, literally going here, have this ball of light, and then, you know, you're about to like get yeeted into this world, this universe, as you would call it, of the Hisui region, and basically this is literally the starting point. And honestly, there's not much to obviously see from this point. You're just like, right, yeah, let's get into the game and let's see what happens. But, you know, Pokemon Legends Arceus is very interesting. Obviously, it's been super hyped up, this game, so hopefully it delivers, guys. So as you can see here, we wake up to basically the guy who is known as the Professor. So the Professor obviously has the 3 starters, which is Cyndaquil, Rowlet, and Oshawott. So he's throwing some things at you, like you're literally on a beach, and he's basically saying, like, you know, what's going on? You've literally just fallen from the sky. Obviously, you're basically getting straight into it, and you're like, right, after you've spoken to him, you don't get the Pokemon at this point, which is very interesting, but you do go and find your Arceus phone. So obviously, this is obviously inspired by Arceus himself, and it looks great. It's a really good looking phone. The first thing I noticed in this game, however, though, is just textures. So I know this game is like comparing to, say, Breath of the Wild Zelda or something like that. The textures that are showing up, it looks good in a way, but then at the same time, like, I just feel like the ground, or the very flat grass and the flat dirt is like, could have been done better potentially. But then I feel as a whole, like with the trees and the flowers and like the horizon and whatnot, the field of view as such is, you know, a lot better in that respect. Obviously, you can see here that I'm catching some of the starters, which is what we're going to give back to the Professor at the very start. So obviously learning the new mechanics with the catching and the throwing and of the Pokeballs and whatnot is pretty cool, and getting a back strike right there, which is awesome on the Oshawott. And then it showcases also that you can actually, you know, basically get back out of the Pokeball. So I really like I wouldn't say the realism as such, but like I like the fact that they've actually incorporated that into the game. And so it's not just as simple as like, you know, really basic animations like you'd see in previous Pokemon titles, but this game is really showcasing all the cool little animations and little effects that they've basically put a lot more effort into than, let's just say, per se, the textures and stuff like that throughout the game, like the overall map itself. So obviously you're getting taken back to Jubilife City with the Professor himself, Laventon. I should have said his name earlier. They've got the guardsman as well, and there's nothing really much else to see at this point of time. Like obviously you're seeing the NPCs, and it's very heavily dialogue orientated in the start of this game. So just bear in mind that I did a lot of skipping just to get through this game, like just to get out to the open wild and actually enjoy playing and you know, throwing those Pokeballs around and catching Pokemon and getting started. You know, you got people getting for shinies and stuff ready, which is nuts as well. Showcasing obviously Jubilife City here, which is, like I said, I really like the attention to detail with the buildings and structures. Obviously, the NPCs themselves as well. Obviously, there's like little minor things I feel like they could have done better. But, you know, for their first like RPG game that's going away from the general conventional Pokemon title game that we're used to over the years on your 3DS or your DS or GameCube even, or something like that, it's definitely a good start at this point. So as you can see, obviously we've got some of the NPCs, the main NPCs, coming to the storyline now. I think it's Akari who comes in here. So I'm just showing you like random little snippets, and you know, hopefully you guys get a rough idea of like what I'm trying to talk about. Obviously we've got this Captain Silene as well. which she's very mean, she's very harsh, as you'll find out later in the game if you're playing this yourself, or even if you're just watching streams of videos on YouTube. So I just honestly, like, the biggest thing that I can see at this point in time is, like I said, it's very heavily on dialogue. It's, you know, the graphics and stuff like that are, I wouldn't say they're perfect, but they're, you know, they're slowly getting there. I mean, for the Nintendo Switch's capabilities, I feel like it's probably potentially the best they could have done, or like if they maybe had a little bit more time, like 3 to 6 months or something, they might have been able to do maybe a little bit more in certain areas. But I feel like they've targeted more at different things, like as in like regards to the features of the game itself and the, you know, the playability, as in you can like continue to play this game over and over and over and not get bored, or the game itself is just so big and wide that it's just like a very enjoyable game. Because I can tell you this right now, in the 7 hours I've did on my stream earlier today, or last night I should say, it was a very, very intriguing game to play, and it was not boring in the least, even regardless of all like the little things, like, you know, the graphics here and there, or, you know, like I think there was like the odd glitch here and there too, but everything, like the attention to the features and the content and stuff like that is great. And, you know, you can kind of just look past like some of these smaller, like minor details, like with the textures and the graphics and stuff like that. But I know there's been a lot of criticism from other YouTubers and people that have made videos already in regards to this, but you've just got to look at it from an open book here and just say, like, just be open about it, you know what I'm saying? And so obviously got the Cyndaquil, Rowlet, and the Oshawott at the starters. Obviously, I'm super biased and went for the Cyndaquil. Like, as you guys would know if you've watched my videos and streams, that I am a Cyndaquil fanboy, and there's no way I'm going to turn down this opportunity to take Cyndaquil on my journey. So obviously at this point in time, we've done, like, I've obviously skipped over a lot of dialogue already. I've just like showing like highlights of basically the start of the game at this point. And obviously we're going to try and get into the open world very shortly. But before that, we actually get to verse another one of the main NPCs in the game. And he is going to be, well, we're going to basically do a bit of a quick battle, obviously. So it's really cool, like, learning the new battle mechanics as well in the game, I've noticed. So like getting away from all, like, you know, the graphics and the textures and all that sort of stuff. Like, there's some really interesting things like with battling in this game, and like from what I've seen so far, I feel like it's, you know, their way of saying, well, hey, we can't, you know, incorporate Dynamax adventures because that's later in, you know, in the future or whatever, and, you know, like Megas and all that sort of stuff. So this is like showcasing you what it would have been like back, you know, in the older times of the Hisui region before Sinnoh was even like made a thing. And obviously, like in my future videos, you'll see all the different, or if you're playing the game yourself, you obviously already seen it already. But I really enjoy the mechanics, the battle mechanics in this game, and hopefully I can, you know, get better at it and actually master all my skills as we get on to further throughout the game. So obviously you come out into Aspiration Hill, so this is where you're going to obviously catch your first Pokemon. Like I said earlier about the catching mechanics, I really enjoy the fact that it takes more effort to, you know, catch your Pokemon. Like, you've actually got to do something now, and I feel like they've actually made a Pokemon game where you're actually playing again, because that was the most frustrating thing for me. Like, you know, whether it's shiny hunting or just playing one of the Pokemon games, was like, you know, whether it's the content in the actual game itself or the end game, it was just this lack of, you know, ability to just like replay value, I guess you'd call it. Like, I know people do like Nuzlocke and they do shiny hunting and all this sort of stuff, but the thing that I took out of this, in my personal opinion, is like, it's just the ability to just like go out, ride your weed around, or, you know, your bravery fly around, or whatever it is, as you progress through the game. And you're just enjoying every single moment. Like, you're like, oh look, there's a Shinx, let's go battle it, you know, let's just go battle it and see what happens. And it's just, it's like the unknown. It's just got so much replay value is the word I'm trying to look for there. And honestly, I just can't really fault it on the content or the features or like how the game's panned out. Like, for their first attempt at this game that is completely different to what Game Freak generally makes, I would have to give it a big thumbs up at this point in time. Obviously the cool stuff too, obviously we've changed your outfits as well. So, you know, obviously you're getting towards the side of the game, you're getting the Survey Corps uniform and whatnot. And if you got pre-ordered games of Pokemon Legends Arceus, you get the kimono sets and the Baneful mask and all that as well, which is pretty cool. And you can obviously get more outfits from the apparel store or the clothes shop as well anyway. So I really think that's a really cool thing too. So I know they had a little bit of this in Sword and Shield, where you could, you know, really go towards, you know, changing up your appearance and all that sort of jazz. But I feel like in a game like this, where it's more diverse and more open and big, and there's like more of a plot story to it, from what I can see so far, it's yeah, definitely a must anyway. So we've got some hard characters as well. So like in regards to the NPCs, obviously there's a lot of talking. People were saying that there's no voice acting, and I know that's a big deal. Like there's no voice acting there. They should have potentially put more money into maybe putting the voice acting and stuff like that. But like if you look at all other Nintendo games like Breath of the Wild, Zelda, or something like that, you got to understand like these guys don't have voice acting in it, and these games are like big game cells. Like this is just what Nintendo games are. Like they're relying heavily on like dialogue. It's a bit like a lot of animes and stuff too. Like I know there's voice acting in animes, but you know, there's obviously for like English people like myself who are watching like Japanese anime, we're relying on subtitles and stuff anyway. So I feel like in that sense it can be forgiven a little bit. Obviously the one other cool thing I really enjoy at this game is crafting as well. Obviously getting like particular items in the game like apricorns and tumblestone you can make pokeballs out of, which is awesome. And obviously it gives you something else to do while you're out in the wild trying to, you know, not just catch Pokemon all the time. You're basically going, right, well I need resources to make more pokeballs to make this more sustainable. Otherwise, you know, and it makes you also like, you don't want to just like randomly throw Pokeballs around all the time in case you miss, because you're like, well, if I miss, then I don't have any Pokeballs, and then you got to find more resources to make more. And I really think that's awesome. I haven't actually bought any Pokeballs yet. I've only made them from scratch. Obviously, Pokedex is the next best thing. Obviously, that's every Pokemon game you got a Pokedex, and it shows you all the information and stats about all the Pokemon. Obviously, it's really well, nice laid out. Colors are awesome. I love the attention to detail with like the little scratchy edges on the top where it's on the little blue strip there. And I don't know, it's just overall the attention to detail, regardless of the graphics and the textures and stuff, is really cool. And they've really tried to make that effort into like putting you back in the old times in the history region, and it just gets you super excited, and you feel like you're just like in the game, like you're just in a different realm, a different area. Like it's great. I really got sucked into it, and I really didn't want to stop playing it this morning. Like that literally is my first impression, was just that I can't stop playing this game. I literally had to force myself to go to sleep because it was just that good. Obviously the pros, like it has a lot of pros and cons, guys, like I've been mentioning already, but like obviously you've got like these cool little side quests you can do as well as your main quests as well. And then obviously to finish your Pokedex as well, I forgot to mention, you've got your tasks, which you've got to do on, believe it or not, every single Pokemon, whether it's the base, middle, or final evolutions. So that's really cool as well. Obviously NPCs and stuff like that have, like, you know, some of the stuff might seem really basic and some of the stuff might seem a little bit more harder to achieve, so that gives you something to do. It might take you like half an hour to do a couple of, you know, side quests in the mainlands or something, and then come back and basically hand them all in or something. So that's really cool as well. And another cool feature I've noticed as well is you can actually like literally plant basically your acorns and stuff like that, and you can basically grow everything basically on this farm back at the Jubilife City village, I should say, sorry. So that's awesome. So obviously going back at the field lands, unfortunately guys, my footage had to get a bit cut off at this point in time because I had a bit of a recording incident, but that's all good. So basically guys, that's my first impression of this game so far. I really hope you enjoyed it so far to date, and obviously these are the research tasks as well, as you can see on the screen, guys. And you know what you need to do, check each Pokemon by pressing ZL and then the up on the D-pad. So obviously you got to catch and battle diverse Pokemon species and carry out plenty of research tasks. That's literally the basic main mission here, guys. So I really hope you enjoyed the video today, guys. Make sure you hit that like, comment, and subscribe button if you haven't already. And you know, just make sure you keep it real and keep playing heaps of Pokemon Legends Arceus, guys, because it really is a great game. And at this point in time, I'm not going to be able to fault it that much. I haven't got to the end game yet, but I can tell you right now, it's really, really good. And you know, it's going to be a game for the future. This is what Pokemon's going to build off now, and I can't wait to see what's next. Hopefully there'll be a DLC for new regions and areas. It's really good. Obviously you got like some rolling mechanics and stuff here, which was probably the only downside. It's not like Zelda, you know, Zelda Breath of the Wild or anything like that, but you know, as a Pokemon trainer or Pokemon master, you don't need to be doing a lot anyway. You're relying on your Pokemon to do everything. You're only dodging the Pokemon that are attacking you as such, so you know, boss fights and all that sort of stuff. So but otherwise guys, this is basically the end of the video, I think, at this point. So thank you so much for watching the video today, guys, and I'll see you in the next video for some more video content.